Hi friends, welcome back to Navkar Digital Institute, and today in this particular session we are going to discuss the revision test paper which are recently being issued by ACCA, our mother institute, on its website. Friends, the very first thing I want to say in this particular session at the start of the RTP is that normally till now, whenever we saw an RTP of any attempt, the RTP was having two things in it. One was the amendments which were applicable in that particular attempt. And second is one standard paper, or you can say one standard set of questions which help a student to get himself or herself prepared and can know or can get insights that which kind of questions can be asked in the upcoming examination. So in order to prepare a mindset of a student with respect to which type of questions can be expected in the examination, that's the perspective of RTP. So with the dual perspective, one, to set forth the amendments, and second, to set out the mindset, the RTPs were being launched. But astonishingly, surprisingly, the RTPs which came for this upcoming attempt, that is May 2021, for intermediate for the subject of corporate and other laws, are not having the amendments. And to demystify this particular doubt, at the very beginning they are saying, let me also tell you that why the RTP is not having any amendments. Then the study material, that is October 2020 edition, which is applicable for May 2021 examination and onwards, is issued by our ACCA, and this material, that is the October 2020 edition, is updated for all relevant amendments up to 31st October 2020. And for May 2021 examinations, the amendments which come in the last 6 months, that is from 1st November 2020 till April 2021, are not applicable to you. So all the amendments which are applicable to you up till 31st October 2020 are updated already in the October 2020 edition. And because of that, we are not having any specific portion of amendments which we generally find in the normal RTPs issued by ICA till now. Furthermore, ICA says that refer the booklet of MCQs and case scenarios of December 20 edition containing independent MCQs, case studies on topics, etc. This will be helpful to you in getting the idea with respect to the 30% segment which we generally find of MCQs. Read thoroughly the study material first and then go with the said booklet to have a practice of revision of concept with an analytical and application oriented approach with the thorough understanding of the subject. So Institute guides you that first read the module and afterwards you can read this particular MCQ case study scenario based material. Now if I try to justify you that what I mean to say by that why the amendments are not covered here, then you can say that then how the things goes here. Let us try to understand. May 2021 attempt is there. Right now, Now all the amendments which came from November 2020 till April 2021. Not applicable for May 2021 अटेम्प्ट, वो May 2021 में एप्लीकेबल नहीं होते. And all the amendments till October 2020 are applicable for May 2021. New edition of module already updated, and generally when you see on YouTube or any other resource, you will not find a specific session covering the MCQs. But when you are with Navkar Digital Institute, you need not to worry, right? We are having a separate session you can find on our channel and also in our NDI app, which you can download, right? So on NDI app, you will find a specific session which is discussing on all the amendments which are applicable specifically for May 2021. So we will have a with respect to amendments for May 2021. So this video is specifically going to focus only on the questions which are there to test your aptitude, to frame your mindset. But as far as the amendments are concerned, we will be having a separate video discussing all the amendments which are applicable for May 2021 attempt. With this brief, friends, now let us start with the MCQ which is there, and you can just brief out the about thing which is there in order to have a better understanding. Moreover, friends, you might have heard that the limit of small company under section 2 clause 85 is changed. There are various amendments with respect to 1% company, but bear in mind, friends, all these amendments came, but they are by budget 2021, and whichever amendments came in budget 2021, that is in FAB 2021, will be applicable from April onwards. And this changes, that is the changes which come in the last 6 months before your attempt, are not applicable in the attempt. So budget के अंदर जो changes है, budget के कारण जो changes है, वो शायद से आपने YouTube पे सुने होंगे, right? पर वो आपके लिए काम के नहीं है. All those are not applicable to you because your attempt is in May 2020. So whenever I am solving this RTP, this will be solved as for very specifically for May 2021 attempt, because few answers to the questions which are there in RTP will change once we solve it for the attempts further to come. So this is, again, I'm clarifying, this is not covering the amendments which came in Companies Act by the budget 2021. Moreover, this RTP is solved exclusively for the students who are going to appear in May 2021 attempt. So now with this brief base, let's start with the RTP. Whenever in examination, friends, you try to solve the MCQ, the very foremost important thing you should always keep in mind is, normally what we do is, we first read the question, then we read the case, then we read the question, then we reread the case in order to find out the answer to the questions, because In the initial phase, when we were reading the case, we were not aware of that which questions are being asked from the particular case. So always it is advisable that whenever you are reading the case study based questions or the MCQ which is based on case scenario, always go for reading of question once. Once you read the question, then you start reading the case. So when you are reading the case, at the back of the mind you are having a question, oh yeah, the question was asked with respect to this particular point in the case. So what we are doing is, first I'm giving you 5 minutes, right? What you can do in this particular 5 minutes is just read the questions which are there, right? And then we start going for the solving of MCQ. So just have a look at the questions which are there on the screen. Read the questions very thoroughly with all the options available without reading the case. So I hope you have read the questions. Now if we start understanding the case, so on the basis of that, we can solve the questions. Then Mr. Ajay is a renowned finance professional with wide experience in banking operations. Due to his experience, he has been appointed as a director on the board of various companies. He is working as an executive director in finance section of Dune Carbonates Limited, DCL. So it's a finance ED. And friends, he is an executive director. What is the meaning of executive director? Then the person who is a director and also in employment of the company. So executive directors are the directors who are in employment of a company, means they does job in the particular company. And those directors who are not an employee of a company are known as non-executive director. for the past 4 to 5 years and heading the finance department there. As per the object clause of Memorandum of Association of DCL, it can raise funds by way of loan for the advancement of its business. Articles of Association of Company authorizes the directors to borrow up to 50 lakh rupees on behalf of company after passing a valid board resolution. And any loans for an amount exceeding the said limit, that is 50 lakh rupees, can be raised only after an approval at the general meeting. Board of Directors of DCL raised a loan of rupees 80 lakh from Shrikant Finance Services after passing a board resolution, and out of this amount, INR 60 lakh was used to pay a legitimate means legal liability of DCL by its directors. So DCL के directors ने 80 लाख की लोन सिर्फ बोर्ड रिजोल्यूशन से रेज किया और उससे उन्होंने क्या किया, उन्होंने एक जेन्युइन लायबिलिटी थी, एक लीगल लायबिलिटी थी, उसे पे की. Okay, so they are something targeting towards the object clause, right? And they are going to talk with respect to the act, which is ultra vires, means it is intra vires MOA, but it's ultra vires the powers of directors, so which can be ratified. DCL is a widely held company with around 5,600 members as per the members register. So DCL is a public company, right? And it has 5,600 members. The 21st AGM of DCL is convened on 1st of September 2020, and a total number of 34 members attending the meeting, out of which 7 members attended through proxy. So the members who are attending through proxy will not be counted in quorum. 6 of such members are represented by a single proxy, Mr. Das. The articles of DCL is silent about the quorum. So they are also targeting with respect to quorum. Mr. Ajay is also a director of Padmani Silk Limited. PSL was established around 25 years back as a private company operating as a micro business with 10 employees in 3-room building. During these years, the company grew exceptional and went public and was also listed on SME exchange. Means earlier when the company was incorporated, it was private. Later on, it was converted into a public company, and presently it got listed on SME exchange. What is SME exchange? It is small and medium enterprise exchange. Friends, कोई भी stock exchange होता है, उसके 2 segment होते हैं. One is SME and another is main board. जो भी कंपनी है उसका पेड अप कैपिटल अगर 10 करोड़ या उससे ऊपर हो तो it will be listed on a main board, that is normal stock exchange we see. But for small and medium enterprises, that is the company which are having its paid up capital of less than 10 crores, they are SMEs. So for them there is a separate platform, a separate part of the stock exchange, that is known as SME exchange. अगर हम BSE के SME exchange की बात करें तो BSE का SME exchange है, उसका नाम है BSE SME. एंड अगर हम NSE के SME exchange की बात करें तो NSE का जो SME exchange है उसका नाम है Emerge. सो हमारी कंपनी ऐसे SME exchange के ऊपर क्या है, लिस्टेड है. PSL declares the interim dividend out of previous year's undistributed profit on 31st August 2020 on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of company. PSL deposited the amount of said dividend in a separate bank account, good, but with NBFC. उन्होंने सही समय पे डिपॉजिट तो करवा दिया, पर उन्होंने NBFC के पास अपना बैंक अकाउंट खोला, जबकि बैंक अकाउंट एक सेपरेट बैंक अकाउंट होना चाहिए. इन अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक सेक्शन 124 में आता है that bank account should be in a scheduled bank. Mr. Ajay hails from a farming family. Hails yani comes from a farming family. and carries on a business of cultivation and milling of paddy. He is also sole member of NDL, a one-person company. NDL is operated as a rice seller and also deals in trading with high-quality basmati rice. Mr. Ajay's father is operating as a nominee for the purposes of this OPC. So Ajay is a member of OPC and his father is a nominee of OPC. The accounts department of NDL prepared and published only P&L account and balance sheet as a financial statement and does not prepare cash flow statement and explanatory notes to accounts. A statement of changes in equity is not required in case of NDL. Fine. किस चीज में से उन्हें exemption दिया जाता है? Then from preparation of cash flow statement, no exemption is given to OPC from preparation of notes to accounts, but they did so. So this is the case, friends, and in my opinion, this case is focusing on ultra-virus activities. Another, it is focusing on annual general meeting. Third, it is focusing on aspects of dividend. Fourth, it is focusing on OPC and basically the concepts of financial state. So this is broadly the case which we saw right now. Now, if we try to look at the questions which are asked based on this case study. Then the very first is from dividend. Regarding compliance for declaration and distribution of interim dividend by PSL, which of the following statement is correct? There is a violation of provisions because interim dividend can only be declared out of current year's profit. This is wrong. ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. There is no violation at all and all the provisions prescribed by the law has been complied with. This is also wrong. Why? Because एक चीज की गलती हुई यहाँ पे, वो क्या कि उन्होंने NBFC में स्पेशल बैंक अकाउंट में जमा करवाया, जबकि वो किस में होना चाहिए? In a scheduled bank account. There is a violation because bank account shall be designated and shall be one of the existing bank account of the company. Galat. It should be a new special bank account. There is a violation, true, because the bank account shall be opened with a scheduled bank only. So this is the most correct answer. Targeting on section 124. Which of the following statements is correct with reference to the requirement of financial statements of NDL and OPC? Now we know, friends, this is based on section 2 clause 40, which is with respect to a financial statement. Normally in financial statement, what things we found out is P&L, balance sheet, statement of changes in equity, cash flow statement, and notes to accounts. Now from this, it's fine that we don't have, you can say, changes in statement of equity. But three types of companies. One is dormant company, the companies which are inactive. The another is OPC, and the third is the small company. dormant company, OPC and small company, these three types of companies are exempted from the requirement of attaching a cash flow statement as a part of its financial statement, provided they have done compliance of regular filing of annual return and financial statements. Here, what is correct? NDL fails to meet the requirement because its financial statement does not include explanatory notes to accounts. Correct? NDL fails to meet the requirement because its financial statement does not include cash flow statement. Wrong. Because उनको तो cash flow statement बनाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. NDL fails to meet the requirements because its financial statement do not include explanatory notes to accounts and cash flow statement. Cash flow statement तो नहीं चाहिए. गलत. NDL has complied with the requirements related to financial statement. That is also wrong. So which is the correct answer? The correct answer is what? Then you can say the very first, because it is not having what? The explanatory notes to accounts, because explanatory notes to account is very much needed. The third MCQ is the borrowing of sum of INR 80 lakhs by directors is. Now see, here the case is the act is intra-vires MOA, ultra-vires powers of the actor. So it becomes voidable, and ultimately it's at the discretion of the shareholders to decide that whether they ratify the act or they don't ratify the act. So it becomes voidable. Right? The next. Regarding the validity of the 21st AGM, which of the following statement is correct? Okay. Now, how many members were there in a company? 5,600. What is a quorum for public company? If members in company at time of general meeting, as per the registers, if 7 to 1,000, then for quorum we require minimum 5 members. If it's 1,001 to 5,000, we require 15 members. And if it's 5,001 to infinity, because we don't have a ceiling limit of 200 members in public company, then we require a quorum of 30 members. This is the requirement of quorum, that we require a quorum of 30 members. Now in our company there are 5,600 members. So we fall in the last limit. And so as per the last limit, you can say that we require a quorum of how many members? 30 members. हमें 30 members क्या क्या चाहिए? Quorum चाहिए. Now 34 members were present, of which 7 were proxy. And in that also 6 of such members were a proxy of a single proxy. Now we don't know that what is the orientation of members, means whether they are a natural person or they are artificial person. Had that data been available, then we would have clarified in a better manner. So here we need to minus 7 from them. So the number of members present, because proxy is not counted in quorum, so the number of members present comes out to be 27. And for quorum we require how many members? 30 members. So the meeting does not have a quorum because 30 members need to be present in a meeting. Okay, this is correct. The meeting is valid Absolutely, it's not. The meeting is valid and has a quorum because only 5 members are required. The meeting is valid and has a quorum because only 15 members are required. We require minimum 30 members and that too present in person. Right? We need to ignore what? The proxy. And as 30 members were not present, in person only 27 members were present. You can say that the quorum was not present. So this is how it focuses on 4 things which were required to be understood. And if you see, then here, even if you don't study the case, you directly see the questions. It was easy for you to answer those without even understanding the case study. So this is the first case we are having. Now we move towards the second case study or scenario based MCQ. First, as usual, before we move to this case study based MCQ, I want to inculcate a habit in you that always have a habit of reading a case before moving to MCQ. So just giving you 2-3 minutes so that you can read the case before we move to MCQ. So screening out myself, start reading each MCQ fast. Moving for second MCQ and third. Second is with respect to acceptance of deposits. The third MCQ is with respect to registration of charge in time. Fourth MCQ is with respect to again acceptance of deposit. As per se, it seems it's acceptance of deposit from director. And the last deposit is with respect to when the company sends a notice of AGM, the short notice has been sent. So the provisions with respect to it. So now let's have a study of the case given. Mr. M. Mishra is a director of Superior Carbonates and Chemicals Limited. SSCL was incorporated by Mr. Mishra, who is the father of M. Mishra, on 5th July 1995 as a public company. SSCL accepts a loan of 1.5 crore from M. Mishra, that is a director, for a short-term purpose, and the loan is expected to be repaid after 24 months. So again, it is basically might be focusing towards acceptance of deposits from a director, whether it will be treated as deposit or not. SSCL in its books of accounts record the receipt as a loan under the non-current liability. Okay. At the time of advancing loan, M. Mishra affirms, gives a confirmation in writing that such amount is not being given out of the funds acquired by him by borrowing or accepting loans or deposits from others. And complete details of this loan transactions are furnished in the board report. So utmost disclosures needed are being done. DBSL is an unlisted public company, also accepts the deposits from public as on 1st November 18, which is due for repayment on 30th September 2023. DBSL also accepts a loan against property for a 10 years term from a financial institution on 18 June 2020. The charge was created on the same date, that is on 18 June, but company has neglected to register the charge with ROC. Finally, the application for registration of charge is furnished on 18th of August 2020. So again, the question comes with respect to registration of charge, whether done in time or not. The first company, SSCL, has registered office in Paonta Sahib, Himachal Pradesh, and corporate office situated in Dehradun, Uttarakhand. But around 15% of members whose name is entered in members register are resident in Nainital, Uttarakhand. SSCL has a liaison office at Nainital. Management of the company is willing to place the register of members at Nainital liaison office, whether it is feasible or not, for which 15% of members are already residing there. Second company, DBSL, convened its 7th AGM on 10th of September at registered office of the company, but the notice of the same was served on 21st of August 2020. 78% of members give consent to convening AGM at a shorter notice due to confusion and possibility of another lockdown starting from 11th of September on account of a second wave of COVID-19. So these are various consequences which are already being faced by the company. Based on this, we are required to give the answer to the MCQs which are given. Now see friends, pick the right statement regarding SSCL's willingness to keep and maintain the register of member at Nainital liaison office. Okay. Let's do the working. Section 94 of Companies Act comes into picture here, which says that register of member can be kept at registered office of company or at any other place in India, provided minimum 1/10 members, मीन्स कंपनी के जितने भी मेंबर्स हैं उसके 10% मेंबर्स वहां पे रहते हो, प्लस सेकेंड रिक्वायरमेंट इज स्पेशल रिजोल्यूशन इज पास्ड. दिस इज द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ सेक्शन 94. तो सी, register of members shall be kept at either registered office or within the same, okay, or within the same city, that too after passing a resolution. Okay, no, this is wrong. Register of member cannot be kept at any other place by SCL without passing an ordinary resolution. Wrong. A register of member can be kept at Nainital's liaison office after passing a special resolution because 10% of members reside there. That's perfect. Register cannot be kept even after because less. Okay, 1/5 का तो criteria है ही नहीं. So this is wrong. So from this four, this is the correct option. And which is the section underlying the same? Section 94 of Companies Act. With reference to deposit accepted by DBSL and its duration, you are required to identify which one is the correct statement. तो DBSL की जो deposits थी on 1st November till 30th September. So 2018 के 2 महीने, 19 के 24, 20 के 12, 20 के 12. Oh, so it's exceeding 36 months. Right. यानी if you see, right, अगर हम कैलकुलेशन करें तो 2018 के कितने मंथ्स? 2 मंथ्स, 19 के 12 महीने, 20 के 12 महीने, 21 के 12 महीने, 22 के 12 महीने, 23 के 9 महीने. It's of 57 months, and as per the rule, deposits can be accepted max to max, minimum 6 months, maximum how much? 36 months, right? So you can say that there is no requirement relating to duration of deposits. No, it's wrong. Since DBSL is an unlisted company, provision relating to duration is not applicable. Wrong. There is a provision of minimum duration of 6 months, but no upper cap. Okay, this is wrong. Acceptance of deposit by DBSL is in violation of provision of law because the maximum period of acceptance of deposit cannot exceed 36 months. Yes, this is perfect. Minimum 6 months, maximum 36 months. With reference to now, the next MCQ is with reference to application to registrar for registration of charge by DBSL, which of the following statement is correct? Okay. So now for that we need to see to it that charge कैसे कब create किया गया था. This is an RTP with me in a printed form. Let's have a look at that. Took a 10 years loan on 18th of June 2020. Date of creation of charge is 18th June 2020. There was a delay and finally the application was furnished on 18th of August. Okay. So पहली तो चीज आप यहां से 30 डेज में करवा दो तो खाली क्या लगती है? फीस. फिर आप यहां से 60 डेज में करवाते हो यानी जो एडिशनल 30 डेज में करवाते हो तो फीस के साथ क्या लगती है? एडिशनल फीस. यानी बेसिकली एडिशनल फीस लगती है. फिर अगर आप 60 डेज के बाद के फर्दर 60 डेज में करवाते हो तो एड वेलोरम फी लगती है, यानी फी विल बी चार्ज्ड, एडिशनल फीस विल बी चार्ज्ड बेस्ड ऑन द वैल्यू ऑफ चार्ज विच यू आर गोइंग टू रजिस्टर, एंड उसके बाद अगर आप करती हो तो देयर विल बी अ पेनल्टी. सो इन शॉर्ट 60 डेज यानी 2 महीने के बाद अगर आप करते हो तो देयर विल बी एड वैलोरम फी. हमारे में 18 जून को किया, सो इट इज लाइक ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम पीरियड, राइट? So the charge cannot be registered now even if ROC permits the same. This is wrong. The charge can be registered if registrar permits with a payment of ad valorem fee. This is perfect. The thoda jaldi kiya hota to the charge can be registered if with a payment of additional fee. And agar 30 days ke andar kar diya hota to with fee. So ad valorem, additional and standard fee. So as such 18th अगस्त है ना, तो जून टू जुलाई, जुलाई टू अगस्त, यानी एग्जैक्टली 2 महीने के एंड पे आ रहा है. तो यू कैन फॉल ऑन ईदर लाइक एडिशनल फीस और एड वैलोरम, बट द आंसर गोज विद एड वैलोरम, सो यू कैन गिव एड वैलोरम. बट इन माय व्यू इफ यू गो फॉर एडिशनल फी ऑल्सो देन ऑल्सो इट विल बी एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. सो दिस इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ चार्ज इन टाइम. द फोर्थ पॉइंट इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू with reference to loan advanced by Mr. M. Mishra to SSCL, state whether the same is to be classified as deposit or not. Now with this, again we go with a working. The point is, like when any person gives a loan and that loan is from a director, right? Normally what is the rule? Any type of amount which is taken by a company is always treated as deposit. But when the amount is received from a director, it will not be treated as deposit. It will not be treated as deposit. When so there is a requirement with respect to that deposit, right? What is the requirement? Not treated as deposit. First, a declaration in writing given at time of advancing loan by director to company that such amount is not out of borrowed funds. It is there in our case also. Second, company disclose it in board report and also in financial statement as notes to account. So if all these things are being done, then in that situation the amount will not be treated as deposit. So if we see, then in our case deposit wins. Will it be treated as deposit or not? Then deposit, because any sum advanced by a director, whether loan or otherwise, is always classified as deposit. This is wrong. If the above conditions are fulfilled, it will not be treated as deposit. Deposit, because the tenor of loan is for a period of more than 6 months. Wrong. Not a deposit, because such amount is recorded as loan in books of accounts. See, how we record in books of accounts, that is of no use. And last, not a deposit, because the return declaration is provided by M. Mishra, who is a director, that when the loan was advanced, that the loan is not being given out of funds acquired by him by borrowing or accepting loans or deposits from other. And moreover, they have also done disclosures in their accounts. Because of this reason, you can say that it will not be treated as deposit. Next, considering the provision relating to length of notice for AGM, pick out the right option. So for this also we need some working. Right, now let us see how the things goes. AGM is on 10th of September. September 2020. This is date of AGM. And notice was served on 21st August. They have not told that how it was being served, but normally when nothing is told, right, we assume that it is being served by post. So 22nd and 23rd, these two dates, notice deemed in transit. On 24th August, everyone received till 9th September. If you calculate this number of days inclusive of both, then it comes to 17 clear days. Actually needed 21 clear days. So it is short by 4 days. When the notice is of AGM and if it is short, then minimum 95% people approval is needed, and here the approval was given by 78% people. So it is wrong. So it is wrong, right? So that's why you can say the notice was not served in time, right? So which of the statement, pick out the correct option. The notice served by company is not valid. Yeah, that's fine. Because notice given was a shorter notice, has to be shorter duration, has to be consented by all the members. Here they say by at least 95%. Here they say by at least 75%. And here they say at least by 50%. Which is the correct option? At least by 95% of the members who are present. So unless the shorter notice is given, a written consent or a consent by electronic means, by minimum 95% of members who are entitled to vote at their end, till then the shorter notice will not be considered as valid. So this was the case study number 2 which was there. Now there are few MCQs, right? Like you can say 3 MCQs which are independent MCQs. Which of the following statement is contrary to provisions of Companies Act? Means which is not as per the provisions of Companies Act. First, a private company can make a private placement of its securities. It's very much obvious. It's true, because private company can never go for public offer. A company has to pass a special resolution for private placement. It's true. As many number of times the company brings a private placement, for that many number of times the company needs to pass a special resolution. Minimum offer per person should have market value of 20,000 rupees. This is wrong. Now there is no such requirement. And last, a public company can make a private placement of its securities. This is correct. So what is the question asked? Which of the following statement is not as per Companies Act? Then the correct option is C. Second last MCQ. Vishal lends a horse to Preet. The horse is vicious in the sense somewhat keeps on damaging the persons, which is known to Vishal, but he does not disclose the fact to Preet. Now this is as against the law of bailment, because bailment says that when a bailer bails his goods and he knows about some kind of wrong thing, he should always intimate to bailee. The horse runs away. Preet is thrown and injured. As per the provisions of Contract Act 1872, which is the correct statement? Preet is responsible for his injury. Absolutely no. This is wrong. We need to find out a correct statement. Though the horse belonged to Vishal, but he cannot be held responsible. Wrong. He is absolutely held responsible because it is the responsibility of Vishal to intimate to Preet. Vishal is responsible to Preet for the damage sustained. This is correct. And fourth option, no one can be held responsible for the damage sustained as no one take guarantee for the horse. This is wrong. So which is the correct statement? C is the correct statement. And the concept is based on when the bailer is aware of the, you can say, the defect with respect to bailed goods, the bailer should always intimate to the bailee. And the last MCQ, as per the Indian Contract Act, any guarantee which has been obtained by the means of misrepresentation made by a creditor concerned, a material part of the transaction is, right, means there is a part guarantee, is valid or invalid or outside the scope, ambit means scope of Indian Contract Act, or not revocable if the damage sustained is less than 10% of the amount for which the guarantee is given. So, as it is obtained by means of misrepresentation, and that too it is concerning a material part of the transaction, a crucial part of the transaction, right? The transaction, or you can say the guarantee which is given, will be considered as invalid. So friends, these are the MCQs of which were given in order to broaden your horizons, and in this way you can see that the MCQs were basically focusing the Indian Contract Act and the Companies Act 1956, newly replaced by 2013. Now friends, let us start with division B, that is detailed questions. We just completed with division A, that was with MCQs, which are having two types of MCQs. One was case study based MCQs, I mean to say case scenario based MCQs, and second is now, second was with respect to normal MCQs, and now we are moving to detailed questions. Now friends, when it comes to giving answer to detailed questions, the very first is, the Board of Directors of Amit Limited requested its statutory auditor to accept the work assignment of designing and implementing of suitable financial information system to strengthen the internal control mechanism of the company. Means company wanted to strengthen its internal control mechanism, and for that one of the prerequisite was that they design a financial information system, and that work they wanted that the statutory auditor accept the work of designing the same. How will you approach to this proposal as a statutory auditor of Amit Limited? Means if you are the statutory auditor, how you will deal with this, taking into account the consequences, the repercussions, if any, of accepting the proposal. So here friends, Section 154 of Companies Act comes into picture, which tells that when you are giving an audit service to your client, which are the other services which you as an auditor can provide, and what service you cannot provide, and if you provide those services which you are not required to provide, then what will be the repercussions with respect to same. So if you see, then according to Section 144, an auditor appointed under the Companies Act shall provide to the company only such other services as are approved by Board of Directors or Audit Committee, as the case may be. Means that should be approved by Audit Committee. Moreover, but such services should not include any kind of designing or implementation of any financial information system. Because see, when you are auditing, you're auditing the financial statements, the books of accounts, on the basis of which the financial statements are made. Now, if the books of accounts are an outcome of your designed financial information system, then you are not considered as independent. So in the said instance, the board of directors of Amit Limited requested its statutory auditor to accept the assignment of designing and implementation of a suitable information system to strengthen its internal financial control. But as per the provision, said service is strictly prohibited. Right. And in case the statutory auditor accepts the assignment, we will attract the penal provision as specified in section 147, and in the light of above provisions, we shall advise the statutory auditor not to take up the above stated assignment. So if we were a statutory auditor of a company, right, we would strictly debar, we would strictly prohibit from accepting this assignment of designing and implementing the financial information system, which would 100% strengthen the internal control mechanism of the company. But that should not be done by we as an auditor, that should be done by any other person. If we do it, we are making a contravention of 144 and will be liable for penalty under section 147. So this question is from chapter number 9 of the Companies Act of your module. And also chapter 9 of the first 10 chapters which are there in our syllabus. No, this is chapter 10. The next question. The income tax authorities in the current financial year 1920 observed during the assessment proceedings a need to reopen the accounts of Quer Limited for the financial year 989. Means in the present, the assessment proceedings were going on and they thought that there was something wrong in 89 and let us reopen. And therefore filed an application before NCLT to issue an order to company for reopening of its accounts and recast its financial statements for the year 89. Examine the validity of application filed by the Income Tax Authority to NCLT. This is based on section 130 of Companies Act, and which chapter is attracted? Chapter 9 of the Companies Act is attracted. In my opinion, yes, Income Tax Authority, SEBI or any other concerned financial authority may always make a request to NCLT for reopening of books of accounts when there is some fraud found in books of accounts. But it should be for immediately preceding 8 financial years, not prior to that. So let us examine this. As per section 130 of Companies Act 2013, a company shall not reopen its books of accounts and not recast its financial statements unless an application in this regard is made by either the central government or IT authorities or SEBI or any other statutory authority or any other person concerned, and the order is made by a court of competent jurisdiction or to the tribunal. So request is made to the tribunal by appropriate person to the effect that the relevant earlier accounts were prepared in a fraudulent manner or the affairs of company were mismanaged during the relevant period, casting a doubt on the reliability of a financial statement. Now very important. However, no order shall be made in respect of reopening of books of accounts relating to a year earlier than 8 financial years immediately preceding the current financial year. So, current financial year is 1920. So 18-19, 17-18, 16-17, 15-16, 14-15, 12-13 and 11-12. and we are trying to open for financial year 8, 9. So this is not allowed. So in present financial year, if they want to make a request for reopening of books of accounts or recasting of its financial statement, they can reopen it only up to financial year 11, 12, not earlier to it. And we are requesting for 8, 9. In the given instance, an application was filed for reopening and recasting of financial statements of Queer Limited for the financial year 8, 9, which is beyond 8 financial years immediately preceding the current financial year. Because this current financial year, this is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and 8, 9 is beyond that. Though application filed by income tax is valid, its recommendation for reopening and recasting of financial statements for year is absolutely invalid. So, appropriate authorities, IT authority, it has made a request. The appropriate concern authority to pass an order is also NCLT. That is also perfect. But the request should be concerning the preceding 8 financial years, not earlier than that. Mr. Bindra is holding 950 equity shares of BioSafe Herbals, a Section 8. Section 8, Chapter number 2 of Companies Act. Its incorporation and matters incidental thereto. BioSafe Herbals is planning to declare a dividend in annual general meeting for the financial year ended 31st March 2020. Examine whether the act of the company is in accordance with provisions of Companies Act 2013 or not. Now, when there is a Section 8 company, in that Section 8 company, we know that it cannot distribute dividend. Whatever kind of profit, whatever kind of surplus it generates, it need to use in the furtherance of its own objects, in promotion of its own objects, to do its own objects in a better manner. But in no case it can distribute what dividend. Also, there are no shareholders, there is no share capital. So in my view, the planning to declare dividend is absolutely illegal. If the company does so, it will be liable for bad writing. According to Section 8, subsection 1 of Companies Act 2013, the companies licensed under Section 8 of the Act, that is formation of companies with charitable objects or association not for profit or non-trading companies or non-trading concerns or licensed companies, is prohibited from paying any dividend to its members. The profits are intended to be used to be applied only in promotion or promoting its object for which they were formed. So no distribution of dividend. You say, sir, what is the benefit of becoming a member in a Section 8 company? See, you become a member of Section 8 company not to get benefit, but to give benefit to society, but to contribute. Hence, in the instant case, the proposed act of the BioSafe Herbals, a Section 8 company, which is planning to declare dividend, is not in accordance with provisions of Companies Act 2013. So it should not declare any dividend. Kiara, the next practical. Kiara, holder of 5,000 equity shares of rupees 100 each of Kanpur Leather Shoes Limited, did not pay a call of rupees 10 per share. Company declared dividend at the rate 10%. Examined with reference to relevant provisions, the amount of dividend should Kiara receive. So this is based on section 127. And chapter 8 of Companies Act, that is dividend. As per the proviso to section 127 of Companies Act 2013, no offence will be deemed to have been committed by a director for adjusting the calls in areas remaining unpaid or any other sum due from a member, means if company has to receive any amount against the dividend which is payable by the company. So in our example, company has to take 50,000 rupees. And what's the dividend due? तो 5 लाख रुपए के शेयर है, उसके 10% 50,000, राइट. तो कंपनी को एक साइड 50,000 रुपए डिविडेंड देना है और दूसरी साइड कॉल मनी 50,000 लेना, तो दे कैन एडजस्ट इट. Hence, call money of 50,000 not paid by Kiara can be adjusted fully from the entitled amount of dividend payable by her. And in this situation, if it is adjusted, Kiara will not receive any dividend from company because her outstanding amount payable to company of 50,000 for call will be adjusted against the amount due from the company to Kiara. A general meeting was scheduled to be held on 15th April 2019 at 3 p.m. As per the notice to the members who are unable to attend the meeting can appoint a proxy, and proxy forms properly filled should be sent to company so as to reach at least 48 hours before the meeting. So if 3 p.m. March 3 बजे के पहले पहले प्रॉक्सी फॉर्म जमा करवा सकते हैं. X member of company appoints Mr. Y as his proxy and the proxy form deposited on, okay, sorry, not March, it's April, right? Proxy Y. On 10th April. Is the form valid? Yes. Okay. Dated 10th April, deposited on 11th April. What is important here is date of deposit. So it is valid. Ignore this. Consider this. So the proxy of Mr. X is valid. Similarly, another member, Mr. W, also gives two separate proxies to two individuals named Mr. M and N. In the case of Mr. M, the proxy dated 12th April was deposited with the company on the same day, and the proxy form in favor of Mr. N was deposited on 14th April. So it is invalid since last date was 13th April and time was 3 p.m. All the proxies vis-a-vis Y, M and N were present before the meeting. According to the provisions of Companies Act, who would be the persons allowed to represent as proxy of X and W respectively? Yes, they can represent, but N cannot represent. So Y and M can represent, rest cannot represent, because first thing, the date of form is never taken into account. What is taken into account is the date of actual deposit of the proxy form. And if it is valid, then only the proxy can represent. So it is basically with respect to section 105, that is proxy. and it talks with respect to chapter 7, that is management and administration of a company. This is how the things will go. Let's see the answer. A proxy is an instrument in writing executed by a shareholder authorizing another person to attend a meeting and to vote thereat on his behalf and in his absence. As per the provisions of Section 105 of the Companies Act 2013, every shareholder who is entitled to attend and vote has a statutory right to appoint another person as his proxy. It is not necessary that proxy be a member of a company. Further, any provision in the Articles of Association of Company requiring the instrument of proxy to be lodged with the company more than 48 hours before a meeting shall have effect as if 48 hours has been specified there. यानी आप 48 घंटे के कम का समय रखते हो वो वैलिड, 48 घंटे का समय रखते हो वैलिड, पर आप 48 घंटे से ज्यादा का समय रखते हो, यानी कोई कंपनी says that you need to deposit a proxy form 52 hours before a meeting. It's wrong because it is taking away the right, statutory right of a member. The members have a right to cancel the proxy's authority by voting himself before the proxy has voted, but once the proxy has voted, the member cannot retract his authority. Where two proxy instruments by the same shareholder are lodged in such a manner that one is lodged before and the other is lodged after the expiry, the former will be counted. But if both are lodged and valid, then the later will be counted. Thus, in case of member X, the proxy Y will be permitted to vote on his behalf as the form of appointing proxy was submitted within the permitted time. That was 13th of April on or before 3 p.m. However, in case of member W, the member M and not proxy N will be permitted to vote as the proxy authorizing N was deposited in less than 48 hours before the. So that's how N will be rejected. So this is with respect to appointing a valid proxy. Now the next question is with respect to bonus issue. Chapter 4, Share Capital and Debentures. Shiva Cement Limited is engaged in manufacture of different types of cement and has a good brand value. Over the years, it has built a good reputation, and its balance sheet on 31st March 2020 showed a financial position in which authorized capital was 2 crores 50 lakh rupees, that is 25 lakh equity shares of rupees 10 each. Its issued, subscribed and paid up capital was 10 lakh equity shares of 10 each fully paid up of 1 crore. Free reserves were to the extent of 3 crores. The board of directors are proposing to declare a bonus of 1 share for every 2 shares held. So there are 10 lakh equity shares, so 5 lakh equity shares of 10 each. So it comes to 50 lakh rupees. The board wanted to know the conditions and the manner of issuing bonus shares. So basically very simple question. First of all, if you're issuing 5 lakh equity shares, right, 10 lakh already there, plus 5 lakh, it comes to 15 lakhs. So there is no need of increasing the authorized capital. And you need a free reserves to the extent of 50 lakh. You're having up to 3 crores. So as per se, no such issue. So directly going to section 63. According to section 63, a company may issue fully paid up bonus shares to its member in any manner whatsoever out of its free reserves, securities premium and CRR. provided no bonus shall be made by capitalized reserves created by revaluation of assets. So revaluation reserves जो है उसको use up नहीं कर सकते. What are the conditions? Its articles of association shall authorize. The board of directors should recommend and it should be authorized by company the general meeting. कंपनी ने फिक्स डिपॉजिट्स या डेट सिक्योरिटीज जो है उसका ब्याज या इंटरेस्ट चुकाने में कोई डिफॉल्ट ना किया हो, जो स्टैट्यूटरी ड्यूज है एम्प्लॉइज के वो उन्होंने टाइमली पे कर दी हो, फिर जब आप बोनस शेयर्स इश्यू करना चाहते हो तो शेयर्स पार्टली पेड अप ना हो, बिकॉज अगर आपके एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर्स पार्टली पेड अप होंगे तो उसके ऊपर बोनस शेयर भी पार्टली पेड अप आएंगे, तो नो बेनिफिट शुड एवर इंक्रीज द लायबिलिटी ऑफ मेंबर्स. सो शेयर्स फुल्ली पेड अप होने चाहिए. एंड एक बार आप बोनस अनाउंस करते हो, इट शुड नॉट बी विथड्रॉन. एंड लास्टली, bonus cannot be in lieu of dividend, means it cannot be in exchange of dividend, because bonus is a non-cash corporate benefit and dividend is a cash corporate benefit. For the issue of bonus shares, Shiva Cement Limited will require reserves of 50 lakh rupees, which is readily available with the company because company is having a reserves to the tune of 3 crore rupees. Hence, after following the above conditions relating to issue of shares, the company may proceed for a bonus of 1 share for every 2 shares, that is coming to 5 lakh equity shares, and there will also not be any need of, you can say, increasing the authorized capital, because post bonus issue also the issued capital will be within the limits of authorized capital. So that is with respect to bonus shares. Prestine Limited, a listed public company, conducted its AGM on 31st of August 2020. However, 10 days have passed since 31st August 2020, but it has not filed a report on AGM. So basically this is with respect to section 121, chapter 7 of Companies Act, and this report is to be given in form MGT. The accountant of company has approached you to advise them whether Prestine Limited is required to file the report on AGM. Now see, this report is to be filed by a listed public company only when it convenes AGM. This is prepared on the basis of minutes and this is in addition to minutes. So this is not a substitute to minutes. So what you will advise that it should be filed within 30 days from the date of AGM. So still you have more 20 days, kindly file it, otherwise it will be liable for penalty. According to section 121, every listed public company shall prepare a report on each AGM, including confirmation to the effect that meeting was convened, held and conducted as per the provisions of Act and rules made thereunder. A copy of report is to be filed with ROC in form MGT 15 within 30 days of conclusion of AGM with prescribed fee. If the company does not file the report in time, then they will be liable for penalty. Since Prestine is a listed company, hence it has to file a report, copy of annual report within the registrar within 30 days from 31st August. 10 days is gone, so more 20 days are pending. So no more to panic, nothing to worry. Kia Limited decides to issue 1 lakh securities of a company. The company decides to publish an advertisement of prospectus, enumerate, describe to the company about the necessary contents of memorandum of association to be specified in the advertisement which is going to go. A very simple and a direct question. It is section 30 of chapter number 3 of Companies Act, that is prospectus and allotment of securities. प्राइवेट प्लेसमेंट जब होता है तो कोई एडवर्टाइजमेंट की जरूरत नहीं होती, प्रोस्पेक्टस भी नहीं होता, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू पब्लिक ऑफर प्रोस्पेक्टस होता है, प्रोस्पेक्टस की एडवर्टाइजमेंट जाती है, और प्रोस्पेक्टस की एडवर्टाइजमेंट जो जाती है उसके कंटेंट में मेमोरेंडम ऑफ एसोसिएशन की कौन कौन सी चीजें आती है? देन इट्स ऑब्जेक्ट्स, द लायबिलिटी ऑफ मेंबर्स मींस लिमिटेड बाय शेयर और गारंटी एंड द अमाउंट ऑफ शेयर कैपिटल ऑफ द कंपनी, the name of the signatories to memorandum means they are subscribers to memorandum or subscribers to company, the number of shares subscribed by them, and the capital structure of the company. All these things needs to be specified in the advertisement, which is the advertisement of prospectus, which is to be given by a company when the company wants to bring its public offer. Now the last question with respect to provisions of Companies Act. Nadeem incorporated a OPC, making his sister Nisha as the nominee. So Nadeem is a member, Nisha is a nominee. Nisha is living in India permanently due to her marriage abroad. Due to this fact, she is withdrawing her consent of nomination in the said OPC. Taking into consideration the provisions of Companies Act 2013, answer the questions given below. Now, if your attempt is in May 21, then this answer is valid. But if your attempt is from May 21 onwards, then if your attempt is in November 21 or so, the answer would differ. Because from 1st April 2021, the new provisions will be applicable where even a person resident outside India, means person resident in India or otherwise, is eligible. So, but this is specifically, as I told you earlier also, this is with respect to May 21 onward. If Nisha is living in India permanently, is it mandatory for her to withdraw her nomination? Yes. And if Nisha maintained the status of resident of India after her marriage, can she continue? If she continues the residential status, then it is absolutely yes. So this is based on the rules, basically the section of OPC. Yes, it is mandatory for Nisha to withdraw her nomination in the said OPC as she is living in India permanently, as only a natural person who is an Indian citizen and a resident in India shall be a nominee in OPC. If your answer is for November 21, she need not to withdraw. As soon as she withdraw her nomination, what Nadeem will do? Nadeem will appoint a new nominee, will take the consent of new nominee in Form INC 3 and will intimate to ROC about the withdrawal of consent by nominee and appointment of new nominee in Form INC 4. Yes, Nisha can continue her nomination in the said OPC if she maintained the status of resident of India after her marriage. कैसे वो maintain कर सकते? By staying in India for a period of minimum 182 days during immediately preceding financial year. If your answer is for November 21, then this 182 days will be replaced by 120 days. But as we are keeping our answers restricted to, as I told you, for May 21, the answers will be like so. Now when we move to Contract Act, the question is with respect to agency. Very simple it is. Akash is a famous manufacturer of leather goods. He appoints Prashant as his agent. Prashant is entrusted, means delegated or given, with the work of recovering money from various traders to whom Akash sells leather goods. So Akash sells the goods and Prashant recovers the money. Prashant is paid a monthly remuneration of 15,000 rupees. Prashant during a particular month recovers 40,000 from a trader on account of Akash. Prashant gives back 25,000 to Akash after deducting his salary. Whether the activity done by Prashant is valid or not. So this is a question with respect to agency. Agency coupled with interest. According to section 202 of Indian Contract Act, an agency becomes irrevocable, where the agent has himself an interest in the property which forms the subject matter of the agency. And such an agency cannot, in absence of express provision in a contract, be terminated to the prejudice of such interest. In the sense, in the given case, Akash appointed Prashant to recover money on a monthly remuneration of 15,000. Prashant during the month recovers 40,000 and gives 25,000, means he gives the amount after deducting his salary. In the said case, interest was created in favor of Prashant and the said agency is not revocable, means irrevocable. Therefore, the act of the Prashant is absolutely valid. There will be any such problem in the same. Now, the next is from Negotiable Instrument Act. The first is very simple. It seems like as if it's a question of an accounts. Calculate the date of maturity of bill of exchange drawn on 1st June 2019, payable 120 days after considering the relevant provisions of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. So 120 days plus 3 days of grace you need to add, and you need to find out the date. So very simple, not explaining anything, directly going to answer. Date of maturity will be, in this case, the day of presentment for site is to be excluded, that is 1st June. So the period of 120 days ends on 29th of September, that is 29 days of June, July ke 31 days, August ke 31 days and September ke 29 days. Totally it comes to 120 days plus 3 days are added. But it falls due on 2nd October 2019, which is Gandhi Jayanti. So what's happening? Which happens to be a public holiday, and as such it will fall due on 1st October 2019, that is the next preceding business day, not succeeding but the preceding business day. So it will fall on 1st October 2019. A very simple provision with respect to it. Chandra issues a check for 50,000 in favor of Daya. Chandra has sufficient amount in his bank with the account. In his account with the bank. The check was not presented within the reasonable time to the bank for payment, and the bank in the meantime become bankrupt. Means Daya ने सही समय पे लॉन्च नहीं किया. Decide under the provisions of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 whether Daya can recover the money from Chandra or not. ये पैसे रिकवर हो सकते हैं कि रिकवर नहीं हो सकते. That we need to see to it. Section 84 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 provides that check should be presented to bank within reasonable time. If the check is not presented within reasonable time, and meanwhile the drawer of the check suffers actual damage, the drawer is discharged to the extent of such actual damage. This would be so if the check would have been passed if it was presented within reasonable time. As per 84(2), in determining what is reasonable time, regard shall be had to the nature of instrument, the usage of trade and bankers, facts of particular case. The drawer will get discharged, but the holder of check will be treated as a creditor of the bank in place of drawer and will be entitled to recover the amount from bank. So in this case, Chandra will be relaxed. Daya will recover the money. Now our case, drawer, that is Chandra, has suffered damage as check was not presented by Daya within reasonable time. Hence Chandra will be discharged, but Daya will be the creditor to the bank for the amount of check and recover the amount from the bank. So it will not be an issue. Third last question, two questions from General Clauses Act. Mr. Apar and Mr. New, being aspiring chartered accountants, have met in a conference for CA students. Both are having an argument about the meaning of financial year. They have approached you as a senior in profession to guide them about the meaning of financial year as per the provisions of General Clauses Act 1872. Also brief them the difference between calendar year and financial year. Very simple, friends. So apart from Companies Act, we can see that all the rest of the questions are very direct and similar. According to General Clauses Act 1897, financial year means the year commencing from first day of April. The term year as a year reckoned according to British calendar, which starts from January to December. So as khali year diya ho, to it is calendar year. Financial year starts from 1st April, but calendar year starts from 1st day of January. So financial year is from April to March, April of this year to March of next year. Calendar year is from Jan of this year to December of this year. The second last simple provision. What is the meaning of service by post as per the provisions of General Clauses Act 1897? Where any law or regulation requires any document to be served by post, then unless a different intention appears, the service shall be deemed to be effected by properly addressing, सही address लिखिए, उसके ऊपर सही stamp लगाइए, and posting by registered post. A letter containing a document to have been effected at the time at which the letter would be delivered in an ordinary course of post. And last question they've asked. At the time of interpreting a statute, what will be the effect of usage or customs and practices? Effect of usage or customs and practices. So basically they have asked you secondary rule for interpretation of statutes. We know we have two things, rules and aids. Rules are primary rules, secondary rules, and aids are internal aids and what? External aids. What is the effect of usage? I'll try to explain this in Hindi. If in some law, there is a requirement of giving KYC document, photo ID document, but they didn't deny which type of document. That was silent. So people or assesses started giving Aadhaar card as a KYC document because Act was silent. None of the authorities opposed the same. Not even court or tribunal opposed the same. And after that, many times the law was amended. But not a single time the amendment was brought about what to be included in KYC document. Then in that situation, as the authority doesn't deny, so it's a legislative approval, the court doesn't deny, so there is a judicial approval, and law is amended, so as for law also everything is fine. Then it will be deemed that Aadhaar card is a correct KYC document. So law says that usage or practice developed under a statute is an indicative of a meaning recognized to its words by the contemporary opinion. A uniform practice, uniform means continuous practice, continued under an old statute, and no action of the law to amend the same are the important factors to show that the practice so followed was based on correct understanding of the law. Means Aadhaar card is perfect as far as the KYC document is concerned. When the usage or practice receives judicial or legislative approval, it gains additional weight. यानी जब कोर्ट उसका विरोध नहीं करता तो जुडिशियल अप्रूवल, authorities उसका विरोध नहीं करती तो legislative approval. This is a proof that everything which is going on is absolutely perfect. In this connection, we have to bear in mind two Latin maxims. We need to learn by heart this. Optima legem interpres est constitudo. The custom is the best interpreter of law. And contemporanea expositio est optima et fortissima in legi. The best way to interpret a document is to read as it would have been at the time when it was being made. Therefore, the best interpretation or construction of statute or any other document is that which has been made by the contemporary authority. Simply stated, very important, old statutes and documents should be interpreted as they would have been at the time when they were enacted or written. And contemporary official statements throwing light on the construction of statute and the statutory instruments made under it would have been used not only ancient but even recent statutes. So this is also not important. This is important. Learn by heart this too. So that's how we can say that we come to an end of the revision test paper. Now a few disclaimers with respect to it. I told you that this time the RTP is having, normally the RTP has two things. One is the amendments and another is the questions. This time amendments were not given, but yes, not to worry. On NDI app and YouTube channel of Navkar Institute, you'll find the amendment lectures, specific video for May 2021. Moreover, the amendments till October 2020 are applicable to you. So this RTP also I discussed with respect to May 2021. आपने काफी सारे amendments के बारे में सुना होगा जो बजट के माध्यम से आए that are not applicable for May 2021, but they are applicable for November 2021 onwards. So वो मैंने यहाँ पे cover up नहीं किया. With this base, hereby we end up with the discussion of RTP issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, our mother institute. Before I end up my lecture, I would like to place a deepest gratitude to our mother institute for coming up with such kind of publications for the betterment of our students. On behalf of Navkar Digital Institute, we pay a sincere thank to all the authors and to all the practicing members and other members of Board of Studies who contributed directly or indirectly in bringing this very important resource material for the students of CA fraternity and for CA intermediate. So we thank you, Mother Institute. We are proud of you and we request that keep on publishing such a kind of lucid material which helps the student to gain the benefit and more confidence for their upcoming examination. So with this brief words, I would like to end the discussion of RTP here. Best of luck to all the viewers who are watching this particular video. Hope you take the utmost benefit of the same. See you soon in the next lectures or videos of Navkar Digital Institute. Thank you.
If you like this video, share it with your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more such videos and learn from our expert faculty members. Press the bell icon to get regular notifications whenever we upload a new video. Download NDI mobile app to get complete CA course online. We value your support. Thank you for watching.